Welcome back to Auto Culture, the channel where we dive into military technology, defense systems, and their role in Nigeria's strategic capabilities. Today, we are going to explore an interesting piece of air defense technology that once played a significant role in global defense history and has connections to Nigeria's military landscape. We are talking about the Blowpipe air defense missile system, a man-portable surface-to-air missile that was designed in the United Kingdom and found its way to several nations, including Nigeria. This video will give you an in-depth look at the Blowpipe system, how it worked, its history, and how Nigeria has used it over the years in its defense strategy. The Blowpipe missile was developed in the late 1960s by Short Brothers in Northern Ireland. It was designed to give infantry soldiers a reliable, portable air defense system against low-flying aircraft and helicopters. At the time, Cold War tensions were high, and Western militaries needed lightweight, easy-to-deploy systems to counter potential Soviet aircraft threats. Unlike larger, vehicle-mounted air defense systems, the Blowpipe was intended to be carried by a single soldier, providing more flexibility on the battlefield. The missile itself was quite unique for its era. Weighing about 11 kilograms and contained in a launch tube, the Blowpipe was designed for shoulder firing, but it could also be fired from a small tripod if necessary. The guidance system was what set it apart from others. Instead of being fully automatic, the Blowpipe used a manual command-to-line-of-sight system, which meant that the operator had to steer the missile all the way to the target using a small joystick. This guidance method gave the operator control but also required a high level of training and steady hands, especially since the missile traveled at supersonic speeds toward fast-moving aircraft. The missile carried a fragmentation warhead of about 2.2 kilograms, designed to detonate on impact or by a proximity fuse near the target. With a maximum range of around 3.5 kilometers and an altitude reach of 2,500 meters, it was effective against low-flying jets and helicopters that posed threats to ground troops. The Blowpipe could be reloaded fairly quickly, with a trained crew able to fire multiple rounds in succession. Now, let's bring the focus toward Nigeria. During the late 20th century, Nigeria was steadily building its defense capabilities, especially given its position as a regional power in West Africa. Like many countries of the Commonwealth, Nigeria had close military ties with the United Kingdom and often acquired British defense equipment. The Blowpipe missile was one of the systems that made its way into Nigeria's arsenal. Nigeria's acquisition of the Blowpipe was part of its broader efforts to strengthen its ground-based air defense network. At the time, threats in the region were less about high-end jets and more about securing national airspace against intrusions, ensuring that the Nigerian army had portable air defense tools to protect against aircraft in case of conflict. While the Nigerian Air Force provided most of the air defense through fighter jets like the MiG-21 in earlier decades and later Chinese and Western aircraft, the Army's air defense units were equipped with weapons like the Blowpipe to provide additional protection for ground forces. The Blowpipe saw combat in several conflicts around the world, such as the Falklands War between the United Kingdom and Argentina in 1982, as well as the Soviet-Afghan War. Its performance, however, was mixed. In the Falklands, British forces used the Blowpipe extensively, but its manual guidance system proved difficult in the heat of battle, where fast jets and helicopters could easily outmaneuver the missile. Out of many missiles fired, only a few managed to hit their targets. This highlighted the challenges faced by operators, especially in stressful combat situations. For Nigeria, the Blowpipe was more of a deterrent and a defensive tool rather than a weapon that saw widespread combat use. It provided Nigeria with a system that could be deployed quickly across its territory, giving soldiers a way to counter potential air threats. This was particularly important in the context of Nigeria's involvement in peacekeeping missions and regional stability operations, where the presence of air defense systems helped project strength and preparedness. As technology evolved, the Blowpipe was eventually phased out in many countries, including Nigeria. It was replaced by more advanced systems like the Javelin, the Starburst, and later the Starstreak high-velocity missile system, all of which offered better guidance, faster speeds, and higher hit probabilities. For Nigeria, newer short-range air defense systems from both Western and Eastern sources have gradually replaced the Blowpipe, but its presence marked an important stage in the modernization of Nigeria's military. What's fascinating about the Blowpipe is how it represented a transitional phase in air defense technology. It was one of the first widely distributed man-portable systems, and while it had its flaws, it gave infantry units a sense of empowerment. For Nigeria, acquiring the blowpipe meant keeping up with global defense trends of the 1970s and 1980s, ensuring that its forces were not left behind in terms of capability. Beyond its technical features, the blowpipe also reflects Nigeria's defense relationships with other nations. By acquiring such systems, Nigeria reinforced its ties with the United Kingdom, benefiting from training programs, military exchanges, and defense cooperation. These relationships were crucial for Nigeria as it navigated its role as a leader in Africa, taking part in regional interventions and maintaining security within its borders. Today, when we look back at the blowpipe in Nigeria's history, it may seem like a dated system compared to modern air defense technology. Yet, it played a role in building the foundation of Nigeria's layered air defense approach. Systems like blowpipe taught valuable lessons about training, logistics, and the need for reliable, easy-to-use technology for soldiers in the field. Nigeria's current air defense capabilities are far more advanced, with radar-guided systems, surface-to-air missile batteries, and advanced fighter jets providing protection. However, every stage of development tells part of the story, and the blowpipe remains a notable chapter in Nigeria's defense history. In conclusion, the blowpipe air defense missile was a unique piece of Cold War-era technology that found its way into Nigeria's arsenal during a period when the country was building its military strength. While it may not have been the most effective missile in combat, its presence symbolized Nigeria's determination to modernize its forces and keep pace with international defense standards. It also highlights Nigeria's long-standing military ties with the United Kingdom and its position as a regional power in Africa. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the blowpipe missile system and its role in Nigeria. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about military technology, defense systems, and Nigeria's strategic capabilities, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Auto Culture. Your support helps us continue bringing you more detailed stories about defense technology and its impact. Stay tuned for more videos where we explore the fascinating world of weapons, vehicles, and defense strategies, shaping Nigeria and beyond.